I found the tracker on Christmas Eve, flat on my back, under the F-150 in my driveway, LED headlamp casting shadows on the undercarriage, cold concrete pressed against my shoulder blades. The smell of motor oil, mixed with jasmine from the garden Elena planted in 1985. My breath fogged white in the headlamp beam. My hand brushed something smooth tucked deep under the frame rail. Plastic, electronic, dense, professional grade, magnetic mount, weatherproof casing, the weight of a lithium battery. I pulled it out. GPS tracker. Rain started. Cold drops hit my forearm. Down the street, someone's TV played Christmas music. The wind chimes. Elena hung still rang in the dark. I'm 74. I've maintained this truck myself since 1998. Only 3 people touch it. Lauren, Isabel, or nobody at all. My wedding ring clinked against the steel as I pulled myself up. I sat on the wet driveway, holding that tracker. It was warm now from my body heat. One of them was watching me. I made a choice. I wouldn't confront. I'd document. I walked to the house. The porch light cast yellow across the wet steps. Through the kitchen window, I could see Lauren at the stove. Steam rose from something that smelled like beef and onions. I slipped the tracker into my coat pocket, felt the weight of it there, evidence. Inside, the warmth hit my face. Lauren was stirring a pot, her phone propped against the backsplash. She glanced up, glanced back down. Dinner's almost ready, she said. Her voice had that flat quality it had taken on 3 weeks ago. Around Thanksgiving, maybe earlier. I'd stopped tracking exactly when. I hung my coat by the door. The tracker stayed in the pocket. Smells good, she nodded, checked her phone, went back to stirring. I washed my hands at the sink, watched her shoulders, tight. Her manicured nails, the expensive kind, $50 every 2 weeks, tapped against the wooden spoon. She'd gotten her hair done yesterday, told me she was meeting her book club. How was the truck? She asked. Fine, change the oil. On Christmas Eve? It's what I do. She set down the spoon, turned. Her face was concerned, practiced. Ray, you don't have to do everything yourself anymore. You're 74. Derek knows a mechanic who... I don't need Derek's mechanic, she sighed. Picked up her phone, typed something, set it down when she saw me watching. The landline rang. I'll get it, I said. No. Fast. Too fast. It's probably my sister. I'll take it in the bedroom. She grabbed the phone off the wall mount and disappeared down the hall. The bedroom door clicked shut. I stood in the kitchen. The pot was still simmering. Her phone was still on the counter, face down. I didn't touch it. An engineer learns patience. You don't force a structure. You find the stress points. You document the cracks. Through the wall, her voice was muffled. Quick, worried. I pulled my cell phone from my pocket and called Isabel. She answered on the 4th ring. Background noise. Restaurant sounds, voices, LA traffic. This is Isabel. It's your father. Silence. Then, what's wrong? I need a favor. Dad, You're in Los Angeles tomorrow. Client meeting. Downtown. More silence. How did you know that? You posted it. LinkedIn. That hotel project in the Arts District. I heard her exhale. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Not since I married Lauren. Not since she'd told me I was replacing her mother with someone half my age who only wanted my money. She'd been right. What kind of favor? Isabel asked. I need you to carry something for me. Small. Just keep it in your car when you drive to the meeting. What is it? A GPS tracker. The restaurant noise faded. She'd stepped outside. Dad, I found it under my truck tonight. I need to know who's watching, and I think they might be in LA. Who? Lauren, maybe. I don't know yet. Isabel's voice changed, went sharp, architectural. She'd inherited that from me, the engineer's need for precision. You think your wife is tracking you? I know someone is. I need to see who notices when the tracker moves. Jesus, Dad. Will you do it? A long pause. Traffic sounds. A siren in the distance. Then, text me where to meet you, tomorrow morning. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We still need to talk about you marrying someone who... I know. Another pause. Yeah, I bet you do now. I heard Lauren's footsteps in the hall. I have to go. Be careful. I hung up as Lauren came back into the kitchen. Her face looked flushed. She set the phone back on the wall mount and went straight to the stove. Who was that? I asked. My sister. Christmas plans. How is she? Fine, busy. She didn't look at me, just kept stirring. Dinner's ready. You hungry? I sat down at the table. Let her serve me a plate of pot roast. It tasted like cardboard, but that might have been my mouth going dry. She ate 3 bites, spent the rest of the meal moving food around her plate. Her phone buzzed twice. She ignored it both times, but her eyes kept flicking to the screen. I met Isabel at a truck stop off the 10 the next morning. She pulled up in her Honda, work boots, and a tool belt in the back seat. She'd cut her hair short since I'd seen her last. Looked like Elena at 48. I handed her the tracker through the window. Just keep it in your car. Don't tell anyone. She turned it over in her hands. This is serious. I know. If Lauren's tracking you, this is more than an affair. This is documentation, so I said. I need documentation. She looked at me, Elena's blue eyes. You sound like Mom. She taught me that. Isabel nodded, slipped the tracker into her center console. I'll text you when I get to the site. Thank you. She started to pull away, then stopped, rolled down the window. Dad, I'm sorry. About the last 2 years. Don't be. You were right. She drove off toward downtown. I watched her taillights disappear into morning traffic. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. A text from Isabel, a screenshot. Hotel Oceana, downtown LA, room 412, checked in 11:47 a.m. Guest name, Lauren Brennan, not Castellano, Brennan, her maiden name. Below the screenshot, another text. GPS tracker is pinging from the hotel parking garage. Dad, she's here. I sat in my truck, in the parking lot, staring at the phone. Lauren had told me she was shopping today. Last-minute gifts, needed the whole day. My voicemail notification chimed. I pressed play. Frank's voice. My attorney, my college roommate from 1968. Victor, it's Frank. Listen, I know it's Christmas, but I need you to call me. Your 75th birthday is April 15th. The trust triggers. We need to review the terms, make sure everything's in order. Give me a call. April 15th, 4 months away. I saved the voicemail, screenshot Isabel's text, put the phone in my pocket. Lauren came home at 6, shopping bags from Nordstrom and Bloomingdale's. She kissed the top of my head when she walked past. The expensive perfume she saved for special occasions, mixed with the smell of mall air conditioning. Good day, I asked. Exhausting. She set the bags down. But I found everything I needed, and I watched her unpack. Gifts for people I'd never heard her mention. Wrapping paper in colors Elena never used. Frank called, I said, about my birthday in April. Her hand paused on a box. Just for a second. Then she smiled. The big 7-5. We should plan something special. Just dinner, nothing fancy. We'll see. She folded the wrapping paper. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it, put it in her pocket. I'm going to wrap these in the bedroom. She disappeared down the hall. I opened my laptop, pulled up our phone records, searched for calls to area code 2103 in Los Angeles. 47 calls in the last 3 weeks. The hotel receipt said room 412. Registered to Lauren Brennan. She'd been planning this. The day after Christmas, I found Lauren packing a small suitcase. Where are you going? She didn't look up. Folded a silk blouse. The expensive one. Spa weekend, I told you last week. You didn't. I did, Victor. You just don't remember. Her voice was patient, concerned. Maybe you should write these things down. She zipped the suitcase, kissed my cheek. Her perfume was too strong. I'll be back Sunday night. There's leftover pot roast in the fridge. I watched her drive away, waited 5 minutes. Then I pulled up the hotel screenshot on my phone and called the front desk. Hotel Oceana, how may I help you? I need to confirm a reservation. Room 412, guest name Brennan. Keys clicking. Yes, sir. Ms. Brennan checked in yesterday. Is there something I can help you with? What about today? She's still checked in, sir. Through Sunday. Thank you. I hung up, stared at the phone. She'd checked in before Christmas, before this spa weekend, and before she'd even packed the suitcase this morning. I called her cell. It rang 4 times. Then her voice slightly breathless. Victor? Everything okay? Where are you? On my way to the spa. Why? Which spa? Pause. The one in Ojai, I told you. Send me a photo when you get there. Another pause. Longer. Victor, what's going on? Just want to make sure you made it safe. Okay. I will. I have to go. Love you. She hung up. 2 hours later, a photo arrived. Lauren, in a white robe, champagne glass raised. Smiling. Behind her, someone else in a robe. A man. Blurred, but visible. The text. See, relaxing already. Don't worry so much. I zoomed in on the photo. The background wasn't a spa. It was a hotel room, expensive furniture, city view through the window. The man was Derek, her brother. I drove to the bank Monday morning. Sharon, the young teller, smiled when I walked in. She had kind eyes, always remembered my name. Castellano, how was your Christmas? Fine, I need to check something. Are there any loans or accounts in my name I don't know about? Her smile faltered. Is something wrong? Just want to make sure everything's in order. She typed on her computer, frowned, typed more. Then her face went careful. Mr. Castellano, there's a power of attorney on file. Dated February 3rd. I didn't sign any power of attorney. It has your signature. Would you like to see it? She printed it, slid it across the counter, my name at the top. Language about granting Lauren full authority over my accounts, my properties, my decisions. The trust language, giving her access when I turn 75. And at the bottom, my signature. Perfect. Too perfect. The R in Ray had the loop I made. The tail on the Y dropped the way mine did. But something was wrong. The pressure, the angle. Someone had studied my signature, practiced it. I didn't sign this, I said. Sharon's face went pale. Mr. Castellano, I didn't sign this document. Let me get the manager. She disappeared into the back. I stood at the counter holding the paper. My hands were steady, an engineer's hands. Hands that had drawn blueprints for 40 years, signed permits, contracts, change orders. I knew my own signature. The manager came out, 35, cheap suit, nervous smile. Mr. Castellano, I'm Tom Bradley. How can I help? This power of attorney. I didn't sign it. He took the paper, looked at it, looked at me. Sir, this was notarized. Your wife and her brother both witnessed it. Her brother? Derek Brennan. He came in with you and Mrs. Castellano on February 3rd. I was never here on February 3rd. Bradley's face went sympathetic, pitying. Mr. Castellano, I understand this is confusing, but I'm not confused. I'm telling you this is fraud. Sir, if you could just... The door opened. Lauren walked in. Derek behind her. She saw me. Her face shifted. Concern. Perfect practice concern. Victor, what are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing. Derek stepped forward, tall, soft around the middle. Expensive suit that didn't quite fit. His smile was smooth, practiced. Hey, Victor, everything okay? When did I sign a power of attorney? Lauren touched my arm. Honey, we talked about this in February. You were worried about the trust, about turning 75. Derek helped us set it up. I was never here in February. You were. Her voice was gentle, sad. Victor, you've been forgetting things. Little things at first. Conversations, appointments. She looked at Bradley. That's why we did the power of attorney, to protect him. I don't need protecting. Derek's voice was calm, professional, real estate smooth. Victor, I know this is hard, but we're family. We're trying to help. The properties, the trust. It's a lot to manage at your age. My age. You're 74. There's no shame in needing help. I looked at Bradley. I didn't sign that document. Someone forged my name. Bradley shifted on his feet, uncomfortable. Mr. Castellano, I have 2 witnesses who say you did, and the signature looks authentic. If you want to dispute this, you'd need to prove what? That I know my own signature? That you didn't sign it, which would require the original trust documents showing your mental state when they were created. I have those. Bradley cleared his throat. Where? I opened my mouth, closed it. Elena had kept them, somewhere safe. But where? Derek's smile widened, just slightly. Those documents were in your study, Victor, remember? You asked me to put them somewhere safe. I have them at my office, for safekeeping. You have my trust documents? You gave them to me. 2 months ago, said you didn't want them in the house where they might get damaged. Boy. Lauren squeezed my arm. It's okay, honey. Derek's taking care of everything. I looked at her, at Derek, at Bradley, who was already backing away. The bank manager said, Mr. Castellano, your wife and her brother both confirmed you signed the power of attorney February 3rd. Do you have proof you didn't? Derek stood there smiling. Brothers protect sisters. I had nothing. I sat in Frank's office on the 15th floor of a downtown building. I'd helped design the electrical systems for in 1987. Through the window, I could see the Chinatown building 4 blocks south, 4 stories of brick. My first solo design, 1975, Mrs. Chen's herb shop on the ground floor. Frank set a coffee cup in front of me, the smell of it mixed with old law books and leather chairs. He was 70, gray beard, reading glasses on a chain. We'd shared a dorm room at USC in 1968. He'd been best man at my wedding to Elena, godfather to Isabel. Tell me everything, he said. So I did. The tracker, the hotel, the forged power of attorney. Derek taking my trust documents. Frank sat back in his chair. It creaked. Victor, this is serious. If they have the original trust, they control the narrative about your mental state. I was competent when Elena and I created that trust. I know you were. I drew it up. But proving it without the documents? He shook his head. The POA gives Lauren authority over your assets when you turn 75. That's April 15th. 4 months. Can't you get copies? Copies don't hold the same weight in court. especially if they're claiming cognitive decline. He paused. Victor, Elena was paranoid about backups. After your business partner embezzled in 2005, she didn't trust banks alone. She kept duplicates of everything important. Where? I don't know, but she was meticulous. Frank leaned forward. Who would have Elena's personal papers? Isabel. Then you need to call your daughter. We haven't spoken in 2 years. I know. But if anyone has Elena's backup systems, it's Isabel. She inherited her mother's organizational mind. Frank picked up his coffee. And Victor, Isabel's an architect. If Derek's been manipulating property appraisals or structural reports, she can prove it. You need her. I looked out the window. The Chinatown building caught the winter light. Rain was starting. Cold drops on the glass. Call her, Frank said. Today. I texted Isabel from the parking garage. My truck smelled like cold vinyl and old coffee. Can we meet? Need to talk. Important. 3 minutes later. When? Today. Chinatown. Mrs. Chen's herb shop. Noon. I'll be there. Mrs. Chen was arranging dried roots when I walked in. The shop smelled like ginger and 5-spice and incense. Wind chimes hung in the doorway. Brass on brass. She looked up and smiled. 82 years old. She'd been my first tenant in 1975 when no one else would rent to a Chinese family. Mr. Victor? She came around the counter, patted my hand. You need tea? Not today, Mrs. Chen. Meeting my daughter. Her eyes brightened. Isabel? She come back? Just for coffee. Good. You need family. She squeezed my hand, went back to her roots. Isabel arrived at noon exactly. She wore work boots, canvas jacket, tool belt marks on her hip. She stood in the doorway of the shop, awkward. Mrs. Chen saw her and made a small sound of joy. Isabel, so tall now, so beautiful like your mama. Isabel smiled, brief, uncomfortable. Hi, Mrs. Chen. You want tea? We're just going next door, thank you. We walked to the Vietnamese place on the corner. Sat at a table by the window, rain tapped against the glass. The smell of pho and coffee filled the small space. Thanks for coming, I said. What's going on, Dad? I told her. Everything. The tracker, the hotel photos, the power of attorney. Derek taking the trust documents. She listened without interrupting. Her coffee sat untouched. When I finished, she pulled out her phone. Show me the GPS timeline, from when I had the tracker. I forwarded her the screenshots. She opened her laptop, started cross-referencing. Her fingers moved fast. Architectural precision. Elena's methodical mind. Dad, her voice was sharp. This tracker was active before Christmas. What? She turned the laptop. I pulled the metadata from the hotel screenshots. Lauren checked into Hotel Oceana 6 times in the last 6 months. November 5th, October 12th, September 21st, August 8th, July 15th, June 3rd. 6 times. Every 4 to 6 weeks. Same hotel, same room number, 412. Always checking in as Lauren Brennan, not Castellano. She looked at me. This isn't an affair, Dad. Affairs are impulsive. This is systematic. Planned. The rain got heavier. Someone's car alarm went off down the block. Derek was in that photo, I said. The one she sent from the spa. Isabel typed something, pulled up property records. Derek Brennan, commercial real estate broker, licensed 2003, she scrolled. Dad, he has liens, 3 of them. Vegas casinos, he owes over $200,000. Jesus. That's motive. She looked at me. Elena's blue eyes. They're not stealing from you because they're greedy. They're stealing because they're desperate. Outside, the rain turned the street into a river of brake lights and reflections. Frank said you might have Mom's backup documents, I said. I have her archive. Boxes of it. I never went through it all. Too hard after she died. Isabel closed her laptop. But if she kept duplicates, they'd be there. Can you look? She nodded, slowly. I'll look. But, Dad, I'm sorry. For the last 2 years, I shouldn't have... You were right. About Lauren. I didn't want to be right. Mrs. Chen appeared at our table with a pot of ginger tea, set it down without asking, patted Isabel's shoulder and walked away. Isabel poured 2 cups. The steam smelled like home, like Elena's kitchen. This is premeditated, she said. They've been planning this for months, maybe longer. Derek showed up at my house Thursday afternoon. I was in the study, reviewing blueprints from the Arts District warehouse. 1983, the year Isabel was born. I'd specified every beam, every load calculation. That building had survived the Northridge earthquake without a crack. The doorbell rang. Lauren answered. I heard their voices in the living room, low, familiar. Victor? Lauren called. Derek's here. I walked out. Derek stood by the fireplace, expensive briefcase in hand. His cologne was too strong. Chemical. It mixed with the jasmine smell from the garden coming through the open window. Hey, Victor? That smooth smile. Got a minute? What do you need? He sat down without being asked, opened his briefcase. I've been worried about you. Lauren told me about the incident at the bank, the confusion about the power of attorney. There was no confusion. Victor. He pulled out a folder, set it on the coffee table. I brought something I think you should see. Inside was a letter, printed on medical letterhead. Dr. Richard Patterson, Neurological Associates of Los Angeles. I picked it up, read it. Patient, Victor Castellano, age 74, diagnosis, early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Symptoms include paranoia, false memories, difficulty recognizing familiar signatures and documents. Recommend immediate family oversight of financial decisions. Conservatorship evaluation advised. The paper trembled in my hands. I've never seen this doctor. You have, Derek said gently. November 12th. Lauren took you. You don't remember. I was never... That's the paranoia, Victor. His voice was patient, pitying. It's a symptom. You think things didn't happen that did happen. You think you didn't sign documents that you signed. Lauren sat down next to me, took my hand. Honey, we're trying to help you. I looked at the letter again, the doctor's signature. The medical terminology? Amyloid plaques, hippocampal atrophy, progressive cognitive decline. I don't have Alzheimer's. The tests say you do. Derek leaned forward. Look, I know this is scary, but that's why we set up the power of attorney, to protect you, to protect the properties you worked so hard to build. I don't need protecting. Victor, the trust documents. He paused. You asked me to hold them, said you were worried about them getting lost or damaged. I have them at my office. Safe. But looking at them now, with this diagnosis, he shook his head. We need to make sure everything's in order, for your own good. My chest felt tight. Give me back my documents. I will. Once we've reviewed them with the attorneys, made sure there are proper protections in place, he closed the folder. The properties are worth a lot, Victor. 8 million, maybe more. You can't manage that alone. Not now. The room felt smaller, the air too thick. I'm also worried about the buildings themselves, Derek continued. When's the last time you did a proper structural inspection on the Chinatown property? The Arts District? Warehouse? These are old buildings. They need maintenance you might not remember to do. I know my buildings. Do you? He pulled out more papers. I had an appraiser look at them. The Chinatown building needs significant repairs, water damage, foundation issues. The Arts District warehouse has code violations. Little Tokyo has electrical problems. He spread the reports across the table. You're looking at hundreds of thousands in repairs, maybe more. I picked up the Chinatown appraisal. Read it. The numbers were wrong. The building was valued at $1, $2 million. I'd built it in 1975. Current market value was at least $3.8 million. The structural assessment claimed foundation cracks I'd never seen, water damage in units that were dry. This is wrong. It's a professional assessment, Victor. The numbers are wrong. The building's worth 3 times this. Derek's face went sympathetic. That's what we're worried about. You're not seeing things clearly anymore. The cognitive decline, it affects judgment, property values, maintenance needs, financial decisions. Lauren squeezed my hand. We just want to help, baby. I stood up. The papers fell from my lap. Get out. Victor, get out of my house. Derek gathered his papers slowly, carefully. Okay, but Victor, the trust meeting is scheduled for April 15th. Your birthday? We'll need to discuss all of this then, with attorneys present, and possibly a medical evaluation team. I'm not incompetent. Then proving that will only help your case, won't it? He picked up his briefcase, nodded to Lauren. Call me if you need anything. After he left, Lauren tried to put her arms around me. Victor, please, we're scared. You're forgetting things, getting confused. We just want to take care of you. I pulled away, walked to my study, closed the door. Through the window, I could see the Chinatown building in the distance. 4 stories of brick I designed when I was 28 years old. Every calculation mine. Every line mine. Every decision mine. I opened my laptop, searched for Dr. Richard Patterson, Neurological Associates. No listings, no website, no reviews. I called the California Medical Board, gave them the name. I'm sorry, sir. We have no licensed neurologist by that name in Los Angeles County. I hung up, stared at the letter on my desk. The doctor didn't exist. The next morning, my phone rang. The bank. Mr. Castellano, this is Tom Bradley. I wanted to follow up on yesterday. Given the medical documentation your family provided and the questions about the power of attorney, we think it would be best if you came in for a competency evaluation. A what? It's standard procedure when there are concerns about a client's ability to manage their finances. Just a brief assessment to protect everyone involved. I don't need an assessment. Sir, without the original trust documents to verify your mental state when they were created, and with the medical letter from Dr. Patterson, we have to assume the power of attorney is valid, unless you can prove otherwise. Derek has the trust documents. Then you'll need to get them from him. Bradley's voice was apologetic, distant. Until then, the POA stands. Your wife has authority over your accounts, effective April 15th. That's 4 months away. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. He hung up. I sat in my truck outside the bank. Rain hammered the windshield. The smell of wet upholstery filled the cab. My phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Mr. Victor. Man come today. Say new management. Say maybe lease change. I worry. Then another text. Rosa. From the Arts District warehouse. Victor got a letter about property transition. What's going on? Ken. From Little Tokyo. Victor, someone's telling tenants you're selling. Is this true? Derek was moving, spreading the word, preparing buyers. The bank VP had said it. Without the original trust, we have to assume the POA is valid. Derek had taken the one document that proved I was competent when Elena and I created the trust. The one piece of paper that showed my signature, my decisions, my mental clarity from 10 years ago. Without it, I was just an old man accused of forgetting things. An old man who didn't remember doctors he'd never seen. Who couldn't recognize signatures he'd never made. I had nothing. Friday morning, I drove to the Chinatown building, my building, the one I designed in 1975 when I was 28 and thought I understood how the world worked. I parked on Broadway. The street smelled like exhaust and roasted duck and rain-soaked concrete. Mrs. Chen's wind chimes rang in the shop doorway, brass on brass, the same ones I'd helped her hang 49 years ago. She was sweeping the sidewalk when I walked up, looked up and smiled. Mr. Victor, you come check building? Every Friday. Good, you still know. She touched my arm, squeezed. That man, Derek, he wrong about you. He's trying to help, Mrs. Chen. Her eyes went sharp. No, he tried to take. I see men like him before. In China, before we leave. They smile. They say help. Then building gone. She shook her head. You built this place. You remember. Don't let them say different. I walked through the building. 4 floors. 18 residential units. Mrs. Chen's shop on the ground floor. Ken's small accounting office on the second. Families in the rest. The stairs echoed under my boots. Concrete. Solid. No cracks in the foundation Derek claimed existed. I checked the roof access. The waterproofing I'd redone 3 years ago. Still perfect. No leaks, no damage. Derek's appraisal was fiction. In the basement, I inspected the electrical panels. Updated in 2015. All to code, no violations. The smell of old brick and concrete dust filled the space. Cool, dry. Structural sound. I took photographs, documentation, every corner, every system. Every space Derek had claimed was failing. When I came back down, Mrs. Chen had tea waiting, ginger. The pot sat on the small table in her shop, steam rising, the smell of it mixed with dried herbs and incense. Sit, she said. You work too hard. I sat. She poured 2 cups. My grandson, he study engineering now, she said. At UCLA, I tell him about you. How you give us first lease. How you fix things yourself. Never raise rent too high. He say you are good man. I say yes. I know this 49 years. The tea burned my throat. Good. Mrs. Chen, if something happens, if there's new management, if nothing happened, her voice was firm. You fight. I see you fight before. When other landlords try to buy building in 1998. When city say tear down for parking lot in 2005. You fight. You win. You fight now. Lauren called while I was driving home. Where are you? Chinatown. Victor, you need to stop going to those buildings alone. What if you fall? What if you get confused? And I'm not confused. Silence. Then, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just worried. Her voice softened. I'm going out for a bit. Hair appointment. I'll be back for dinner. When I got home, her car was gone. I walked into the bedroom. Her purse was on the dresser, open. I shouldn't have looked, but engineers need data. Inside, wallet, makeup, phone charger, receipts from restaurants I'd never been to. And, at the bottom, wrapped in tissue paper, my brass compass. I'd carried that compass for 50 years. My father gave it to me when I graduated USC in 1972. It lived in my jacket pocket, always. I'd noticed it missing 2 weeks ago, thought I'd misplaced it. Lauren had taken it. I unwrapped the tissue. There were others things, my reading glasses I'd thought I'd lost. A pen I'd been looking for, my old Timex watch, and photographs, printed. Me at the kitchen table, looking confused. Me in the study, staring at papers. Me at the truck, fumbling with keys, staged moments, captured moments, evidence of incompetence. She'd been collecting proof, building a case. The front door opened. Lauren's voice. Victor, I forgot my purse. I wrapped the compass, put everything back. Walked out of the bedroom. She grabbed her purse from the dresser, didn't look at me. Back in 2 hours. After she left, I called Isabel. Can you meet me? Arts District Warehouse. Today. What's going on? I found something. I need your help. 2 hours later, Isabel stood in the empty warehouse. Her voice echoed off the concrete walls. Paint smell from Rosa's studio upstairs, mixed with the scent of old wood and rain coming through the loading dock. I showed her the photos on my phone, the compass, the staged evidence. She's documenting you, Isabel said, building a visual record of decline. I know. Dad, this is gaslighting, systematic, professional. She walked to the window, looked out at the Arts District streets. We need to treat this like a structural failure. When a building's failing, you don't just patch the cracks. You trace the load path. Find where the stress started. Document every failure point. What does that mean? She turned, Elena's analytical mind behind her eyes. It means we investigate like engineers. Derek's appraisals are wrong. I can prove it with your original blueprints. The structural assessments are fiction. I can do my own inspection. I'm a licensed architect. My word carries weight. He has my trust documents. Then we find where Mom hid the backups. Isabel pulled out her phone. I'm going through her archive this weekend. Every box. If the documents exist, I'll find them. What if they don't? Then we build a different case. GPS evidence, hotel records, bank fraud, Derek's gambling debts, Lauren's photograph collection that proves premeditation. She walked over, put her hand on my shoulder. The first time she'd touched me in 2 years. Dad, you're not losing your mind. They're trying to make you think you are. But I see you. You're sharp. You know these buildings. You know your own signature. Through the warehouse windows, the city was turning orange with sunset. The buildings I'd helped wire, the streets I'd helped plan. We document everything, Isabel said. Just like you taught me. Measure twice, cut once. Monday morning, I stopped at a coffee shop on Spring Street. The place I'd gone to for 40 years, Joe's. Dark wood, espresso machine hiss, smell of burnt beans and bacon grease from the grill. Dale Martinez was there, commercial broker. I'd known him 30 years. We'd worked deals together in the 90s. He was sitting with 2 other brokers I recognized. Mike Chen, Patricia Wolf. I got my coffee at the counter, black. The cup was too hot. Burned my palm. Dale saw me. His face shifted. Uncomfortable. He said something to the others. They glanced over. I walked past their table to the door. Shame about Castellano, Patricia said. Not quite quiet enough. Built half of downtown. Now can't remember his own signature. On Dale's voice. Lauren told me he's getting evaluated. Early Alzheimer's. It's rough. How old is he? 74. Still drives himself around. Still thinks he's inspecting buildings. Oh, it's a pause. Derek's trying to handle it gently, get the properties managed properly before something happens. Mike, what are they worth? 8 million, maybe more. 3 commercial properties. All prime locations. But they need work. Victor's been letting things slide. I stood by the door. They hadn't seen me stop. Hadn't seen me listening. Patricia, who's representing the sale? Derek, he's the brother-in-law. Has power of attorney effective April. Supposed to be a quiet transition. Family wants to move Victor into assisted living. Sell the buildings to a developer who'll renovate. Tear down or preserve? Probably gut and flip. The bones are good, but the systems are outdated. 60-year-old construction. I walked out. The door chimes rang. Brass on brass, same sound as Mrs. Chen's. The coffee tasted like metal. I dumped it in a trash can on the corner. My phone buzzed. Rosa, from the Arts District. Got another letter. Says lease review, March 1st. New management policies. Well, Victor, what's happening? Then Ken. Building inspector came by. Said routine check. But I've been here 20 years. Never had unscheduled inspections. Then Mrs. Chen. Man, take picture of shop. Safer insurance. I don't like. Derek was preparing, documenting, building his case for why the buildings needed to be sold, for why I couldn't manage them. That afternoon, Ken called. Victor, I have something you need to see. I drove to Little Tokyo. Ken's restaurant took up the ground floor of my 1908 building. The smell of miso and soy sauce and grilled fish filled the street. Red lanterns hung over the entrance. He led me upstairs to his office. Small space, desk covered in receipts and ledgers. He pulled up security footage on his computer. This is from my camera. He pointed at the screen. Covers the parking lot behind the building. December 23rd. Look. The footage showed a black BMW pulling in. A man got out. Derek. That's the day before Christmas Eve, Ken said. Now watch. He fast-forwarded. Derek walked around the building, took photographs, made notes, got back in the car and left. Now look at this. Ken pulled up more footage, different dates. November 19th, October 14th, September 25th, Derek's BMW. Same pattern, photographs, notes. He's been scouting the property, I said, for months. Ken clicked to another file. And Victor, look at this. The timestamp read December 26th, 2 p.m. Derek's BMW pulled into the parking lot. He sat in the car for 10 minutes. Then a woman approached, got in the passenger side. Lauren. They sat together for 20 minutes, talking. Then Lauren got out, walked to her own car, parked 2 spaces over, drove away. Derek left 5 minutes later. They met here, Ken said. Behind my restaurant, the same day your wife told you she was at a spa. My hands were shaking. I gripped the desk edge. The wood was cold, smooth. Can you send me these files? Already did. Check your email. When I got home, Isabel was parked in my driveway. She got out when she saw me. Her face was tight, excited. Dad, I found something. We went inside. She opened her laptop on the kitchen table. The smell of coffee from this morning still hung in the air, cold, stale. I ran Derek's property records, his business, his finances. She pulled up documents. He has liens. I told you about the Vegas casinos. But it's worse than I thought. She scrolled. Court filings, collection notices, debt judgments. Derek Brennan owes $237,000 to 3 different casinos, plus $80,000 in credit card debt, plus a balloon payment on his office lease due in May. She looked at me. Dad, he's drowning. He needs your properties, not for profit, for survival. When are the casino debts due? They're overdue. Collection agencies filed suit in November. He has until April to settle, or they seize his assets. April. The same month the trust triggered. The same month the power of attorney became active. Isabel pulled up more files. And look at this. Derek set up 3 shell companies in October, LLCs, all with addresses that don't exist. He's preparing to move money through them, to hide assets. How do you know? I'm an architect, Dad. I know how to read property filings. And these filings are fraudulent. She turned the laptop to face me. Derek isn't stealing from you because he's greedy. He's stealing because he's desperate. And desperate people make mistakes. Outside, the sun was setting. Orange light through the kitchen window. The jasmine from the garden smelled sweet. Too sweet. We have him, Isabel said. Security footage, debt records, shell companies. A pattern of coordination with Lauren. This isn't just family helping family. This is conspiracy. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. A photograph. Derek and Lauren. Hotel Oceana, room 412, timestamp 3 hours ago. Below it, thought you should know. A friend. Isabel leaned over, saw the photo. Who sent this? I don't know, but we had them now. I sat in Frank's office Wednesday afternoon. Rain streaked the windows. The city below was gray, concrete and steel disappearing into low clouds. The smell of coffee and old leather filled the room. Frank had the evidence spread across his desk, GPS logs, hotel records, security footage, Derek's debt filings, the photograph collection Lauren had hidden in her purse, bank documents showing the forged power of attorney. This is prosecutable, Frank said. Wire fraud. Forgery? Conspiracy? Derek's looking at 5 to 7 years, Lauren probably the same. Oh, I stared at the papers. What happens to her family? Her parents? They disown her, or they stand by her. That's not your concern. They're good people, Frank. They don't know what she's been doing. He leaned back in his chair. It creaked, the same sound it had made for 20 years. Victor, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe there's another way. Quiet. I get my documents back. They walk away. No charges. No trial. No. Frank's voice was hard. You're thinking about Mercy. Don't. She's still my wife. She practiced your signature at that bank. Sharon saw her. 3 times on deposit slips before she went to the loan officer. She perfected your handwriting like it was a forgery workshop. He pushed the evidence toward me. She took your compass, your glasses, your watch, photographed you looking confused, built a file to prove you were incompetent. And Victor, she called you baby on those recordings with Derek. But not you, him. She's never called you that, not in 12 years. My throat was tight. The coffee on his desk had gone cold. I could smell it, burnt, bitter. If I do this, I said, if we go public, attorney meeting, present all this evidence, her life is over. Yes. Her reputation, her family, everything. Yes. And I'll have done that to her. Frank stood up, walked to the window. looked out at the city. You know what Elena told me once? After you took back that business partner who'd embezzled, after you gave him a second chance and he stole another 100,000 before disappearing to Mexico, I remember. She said Victor sees the good in people. It's what makes him kind. It's also what makes him vulnerable. Frank turned. She made me promise something. She said if you ever remarried foolishly, those were her exact words, or remarried foolishly, I had to protect you, even from yourself. I'm not asking for protection. I'm asking if this is right. What would Elena want? The question hung in the air. Rain tapped against the window, soft, steady. Elena would want justice, I said quietly, but she'd also want mercy. Elena prepared for this. Frank came back to the desk, sat down. She didn't hide those documents to let you be merciful. She hid them so you'd survive. So the buildings would survive. So Isabel would have something to inherit. We don't know where those documents are. Then we keep looking. He picked up his phone. I'm calling Isabel. If Elena hid backups, your daughter's the only one who might know where. Isabel arrived an hour later. Wet from the rain, her jacket dripped on Frank's carpet. She set down 2 cardboard boxes. The smell of old paper and dust filled the office. Mom's archive, she said. From storage. I've been going through it all week. She opened the first box. File folders. Labels in Elena's precise handwriting. Property taxes 1975, 1985. Insurance policies. Building permits. I found the trust documents. Isabel pulled out a folder. But these are copies. Frank's right. We need originals. Where would she keep originals? Frank asked. Isabel sat down, looked at me. Dad, where did Mom keep things she never wanted to lose? The safe deposit box. Oh, we checked. Nothing there. Then I don't know. Think. What was Mom paranoid about? After the embezzlement? After the fire at the Chinatown building in 2003? Where did she hide things? I closed my eyes. Tried to remember. Elena in the study. Elena organizing. Elena, with her label maker, and her filing system, and her backup plans for backup plans. The blueprints, I said. Isabel's head snapped up. What? After the embezzlement, she said the only things I'd never lose were my blueprints. I'd throw away anything before I'd throw away original drawings. I stood up. She said you could burn down the house, and I'd save the blueprints first. Frank looked at Isabel. Where are Victor's original blueprints? Your house, Isabel said to me. In the study. The tubes on the shelf? Get them, Frank said. Now. We drove to Pasadena in Isabel's car. The rain was heavier now. Her windshield wipers beat steady rhythm. The smell of wet upholstery and coffee, from a cup in the holder, filled the Honda. If they're in the blueprints, Isabel said, Mom was brilliant. She was always brilliant. No, I mean, Dad, you've been looking at those blueprints for 50 years. Every time you do a building review, every time you check a dimension or update a system, you've been looking at the hiding place this whole time. At the house, Lauren's car was gone. A note on the counter, shopping, back for dinner. In the study, the blueprint tubes lined the shelf. 50 years of work. Metal tubes with plastic caps, each one labeled in my handwriting. Chinatown Building, 1975. Arts District Warehouse, 1983. Little Tokyo Commercial, 1978. I pulled down the Chinatown tube, the oldest one. The first building I'd designed alone. Isabel opened it, slid out the rolled blueprints. They smelled like old paper and dust and memory. The drawings were there. Blue lines on white paper, faded but readable. My signature in the title block, March 15th, 1975. Every detail I'd drafted by hand, every calculation I'd made at 28 years old, thinking I understood how to build something permanent. Isabel unrolled them carefully on my desk, and there, between the structural drawings and the electrical plans, was an envelope, sealed, Elena's handwriting on the front, for Isabel, when she needs to remember what her father built. Isabel's hands shook as she opened it. Inside were documents, legal paper, thick, official, the trust, original, signed by Elena and me in March 2003, witnessed by Frank, notarized, every page pristine, and a note, Elena's handwriting, dated 6 months before she died. Victor, if you're reading this, someone tried to take what we built, what your father built before us. What Isabel will build. After you, I know you'll want to be merciful. You'll see the good in whoever's hurting you. It's what makes you the man I married. But Victor, some people don't see good. They see assets. They see property values. They see an old widower who's lonely enough to be manipulated. I'm writing this from my oncologist's office. 6 months to live, maybe 12. I'm using that time to protect you. Not because I think you're weak, because I know you're kind. Second wives come in two types, ones who love you and ones who love what you own. If you found this letter, it's the latter. Don't be merciful. Be smart. Isabel will help you. She has my mind for systems. She has your heart for building. Together, you'll protect what 3 generations made. Trust her. Trust Frank. Trust the documents. Don't trust kindness from people who practice your signature. Love always, Elena. Isabel was crying, silent tears down her face. She set the letter down carefully. She knew. She saw this coming. Not specifically, I said. But she knew I'd be vulnerable. The note says second wives, plural, like she'd been watching other widowers get targeted. She was always watching, always preparing. Frank's phone buzzed. He answered, listened. His face went hard. When? Okay, we'll be there. And he hung up. That was the bank. Derek just tried to access your accounts using the power of attorney. The manager called to verify. I told them to freeze everything until further notice. Can they do that? With these documents? Yes. The trust proves you were competent when it was created. The POA Derek forged contradicts the trust terms. It's invalid. Frank picked up the trust papers. We need to file these. Immediately. Then we set the meeting. What meeting? April 15th. Your birthday, your office. Derek, Lauren, the bank representatives, and anyone else who thinks you're incompetent. He looked at me. We present everything, GPS logs, hotel records, security footage, debt filings, shell companies, the forged POA, the fake doctor, and these. He held up the trust documents. Your wife and her brother tried to steal $8 million using your cognitive decline as cover. That's not a family matter. That's a federal crime. Isabel touched my arm. Dad, Mom's right. Some people can't be saved. They can only be stopped. Through the study window, I could see the garden. Elena's jasmine. The flowers were starting to bloom early. Purple buds on bare branches. Spring coming. Set the meeting, I said. April 15th. My 75th birthday. Frank's conference room was on the 15th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows facing downtown. The Chinatown building visible 4 blocks south. Sunlight cut through the glass. The smell of coffee and leather and anticipation filled the space. Frank sat at the head of the table. I sat to his right, Isabel to my left, her laptop open. Blueprints rolled in tubes at her feet. Lauren arrived first. Derek behind her. She wore a navy dress. Professional. Her perfume was the expensive kind. It mixed with Derek's cologne, chemical, too strong. Victor, she smiled, leaned down to kiss my cheek. I didn't move. She straightened. Happy birthday. Sit down, Frank said. Tom Bradley from the bank came next, nervous, sweating in his cheap suit. Behind him, Sharon, the young teller who'd seen Lauren practice my signature. Her hands were shaking. Mrs. Chin came in quietly. Ken behind her. Rosa from the Arts District, my tenants. I hadn't asked them to come. They'd come anyway. Derek looked at them. This is a private family matter. They're witnesses, Frank said. Sit down. Derek and Lauren sat across from me. She took his hand under the table. I saw it. Brother and sister. Family. Frank opened a folder. We're here to discuss Victor Castellano's trust. The one that triggers today. His 75th birthday? We know why we're here, Derek said. Victor needs help managing his assets. The power of attorney is invalid. Frank slid a document across the table. This is the original trust. Signed March 2003. Witnessed by me. Notarized. It specifically states that no power of attorney can supersede its terms without co-trustee approval. That co-trustee is Isabel Reyes. She never approved your POA. Derek picked up the document. His face went white. Where did you get this? From Elena Castellano's personal archive? Isabel opened her laptop. My mother kept backups of everything. She hid the original trust in my father's 1975 Chinatown blueprints, the ones he's looked at every week for 49 years. She knew he'd never lose them. Lauren's hand tightened on Derek's. That doesn't prove anything. Victor still signed the power of attorney. He's still experiencing cognitive decline. No. Frank slid more papers across. He's experiencing a systematic gaslighting campaign. Sharon? Sharon stood up. Her voice was quiet, steady. November 18th. Lauren Castellano came to my window. She had 3 deposit slips. She practiced signing Victor's name 3 times, getting the loops right, the pressure, the angle. She looked at Lauren. When she finished, she laughed. Said old men are so easy to imitate. Lauren's face went red. That's not... I have a written statement, Sharon said. Filed with my supervisor that day. He ignored it, but I kept a copy. Frank pulled out photographs, the ones from Lauren's purse. Me, looking confused, fumbling with keys, staring at papers. These were found in Lauren's possession. staged evidence of incompetence. Along with Victor's personal items, his compass, his glasses, his watch, items she claimed he had lost due to memory problems. He set the brass compass on the table. It caught the sunlight. Gaslighting, Frank said. Professional, systematic, to support a narrative of cognitive decline that would justify the forged power of attorney. Derek stood up. This is insane. We're trying to help him. He has Alzheimer's. Dr. Patterson confirmed. Dr. Richard Patterson doesn't exist. Isabel pulled up a screen. California Medical Board. No licensed neurologist by that name. The letter you presented is a forgery. A bad one. The medical terminology is wrong. Amyloid plaques don't present that way. The dosage recommendations are incorrect. Who are you to... I'm an architect, but I know how to research. How to verify credentials, how to spot fraud. She clicked to another screen. Ken? Ken stood, pulled a USB drive from his pocket. Security footage from my building shows Derek Brennan scouting the property for 6 months. October through March, taking photographs, making notes, preparing to sell. Frank plugged the drive into his laptop. The screen lit up. Derek's black BMW. Same pattern, different dates. And this. The footage from December 26th. Derek and Lauren, meeting in the parking lot. 2 p.m., the same day she'd told me she was at a spa. Lauren made a sound. Small, choked. Isabel pulled up more files. Hotel records. Lauren checked into Hotel Oceana 6 times between June and December. Room 412. Always registered as Lauren Brennan, her maiden name. Same hotel where Derek stayed. Same floor. Time-stamped check-ins show coordination. She turned the laptop. GPS logs, credit card receipts, security footage from the hotel parking garage. This isn't an affair, Isabel said. It's a conspiracy. Frank unrolled the blueprints on the table. The Chinatown building, March 15th, 1975. My signature, in the title block. Derek claimed this building needed $300,000 in foundation repairs. Water damage, structural failure. He appraised it at $1.2 million. That appraisal is accurate? Derek said. No. Isabel stood, walked to the window, pointed at the Chinatown building 4 blocks away. I'm a licensed architect. I did my own inspection last week. The foundation is sound. No water damage. No structural defects. The building is worth $3.8 million. Current market value. Your appraisal is fraudulent. She pulled out more documents. You also claim the Arts District warehouse had code violations. It doesn't. I pulled the permits. Everything's current, updated in 2019. You're his daughter. You're biased. I'm a UCLA faculty member. My license is on the line if I lie. You're a broker, drowning in gambling debt. She clicked to another screen. Derek Brennan owes $237,000 to 3 Las Vegas casinos, plus $80,000 in credit card debt. Collection agencies filed suit in November. He has until April to settle, or they seize his assets. The room went quiet, just the hum of the air conditioning, the sound of traffic 15 floors below. You needed my father's properties, Isabel said. Not for profit, for survival. The trust triggers today. The power of attorney becomes active today. You'd sell the buildings, pay your debts, split the rest with Lauren. $8 million. Enough to start over. Derek's face was gray. Lauren was crying now. Real tears. Not practiced. But you made mistakes, Isabel continued. You set up shell companies to hide assets. 3 LLCs registered in October. All with fake addresses. That's money laundering. Wire fraud. The FBI is very interested in that. Frank stood, pressed a button on his phone. The conference room door opened. 2 people walked in. A man and a woman, badges on their belts. Detective Martinez, Frank said. Detective Chen, thank you for coming. Detective Martinez looked at Derek. Mr. Brennan, we have questions about your involvement in a 2019 wire fraud case and about your recent financial activities. Detective Chen looked at Lauren. Ms. Brennan, we need to talk about a life insurance claim in Palm Springs. 2010. Your previous husband, Richard Foster, he died 3 months after you married. Accidental fall. You collected $400,000 and disappeared. Lauren's face crumbled. He was sick. He was 72, Detective Chen said. Widowed, lonely, met you at a grief support group, married you 6 months later, dead 3 months after that. Life insurance made you the beneficiary 2 weeks before he fell down his stairs. She pulled out a file, set it on the table. Elena Castellano predicted this, Detective Chen said. Her letter specifically mentions second wives. Plural, she'd been tracking patterns. Widowers being targeted, life insurance fraud. She documented everything, sent it to us before she died. We've been watching. Frank picked up Elena's note, the one from the blueprints. My wife knew, I said quietly. She knew what you were. Derek stood up, tried to walk to the door. Detective Martinez blocked him. Sit down, Mr. Brennan. We're not finished. Lauren looked at me across the table, mascara running. Victor, please. I didn't mean, we can work this out. No, I said, we can't. Frank closed his folder. The power of attorney is void. The trust remains with Victor and Isabel as co-trustees. The properties stay in the family, and you're both under arrest. Detective Martinez handcuffed Derek first. The metal clicked. Sharp sound in the quiet conference room. Derek didn't resist, just stood there, face gray, expensive suit suddenly looking cheap under the fluorescent lights. Derek Brennan, you're under arrest for wire fraud, forgery, conspiracy to commit theft, and money laundering. Martinez read him his rights, the words blended together. Background noise. Detective Chen approached Lauren. Stand up, please. Lauren looked at me, one last time. Her eyes were red. Mascara streaked her face. Victor, I'm sorry. I never wanted. You practiced my signature, I said. 3 times, at the bank. You told Sharon old men are easy to imitate. She flinched, looked away. Lauren Brennan, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and in connection with the death of Richard Foster in Palm Springs, 2010. Detective Chen cuffed her. You have the right to remain silent. They walked them out. Derek's cologne lingered in the air. Chemical. Fake. The door closed. Frank sat back down, let out a long breath. It's over. Mrs. Chen came around the table, took my hand, squeezed. You fight good, Mr. Victor, like I say. You always fight good. Ken nodded. We knew, the tenants. We knew something was wrong. Derek's letters, his measurements, his photographs. We saved everything, just in case you needed it. Rosa touched my shoulder. Your buildings are safe. We'll help you keep them that way. But Tom Bradley from the bank stood, uncomfortable. Mr. Castellano, I apologize. We should have investigated more carefully. The power of attorney is invalidated in our system. Your accounts are restored to your sole control. And the competency evaluation? Canceled. Obviously unnecessary. He looked at Sharon. And Sharon has been promoted. She tried to warn us. We should have listened. After they left, it was just me, Isabel, and Frank. The conference room suddenly felt enormous. The city sprawled below us, spring sunlight warming the glass. The smell of coffee had gone cold. The DA wants full prosecution, Frank said. Derek's looking at 7 years. Wire fraud with his gambling debts and shell companies. Lauren's case is more complex. They're investigating her previous marriage. If they prove homicide, she could get 20. Her parents? I asked. I called them yesterday. Gave them advance warning. Frank's voice was gentle. They're devastated. They had no idea. They want you to know that. They're good people. They raised a daughter who became a predator. That's on her, not them. Frank gathered his papers. The trust is secured. The properties remain yours and Isabel's. Derek can't touch them. Lauren gets nothing. The prenup she signed was ironclad. Elena made sure of that. Elena always knew, and she loved you enough to prepare for your weakness. Frank stood, shook my hand. That's what love does. It protects, even after death. After Frank left, Isabel and I sat in the empty conference room. The sun had moved. Shadows stretched across the table. Through the window, the Chinatown building caught the afternoon light. 4 stories of brick, 49 years old, still standing. I'm sorry, Isabel said, for the last 2 years, for blaming you. For not being there when you were right about Lauren. I didn't want to be right. And she closed her laptop. I wanted you to be happy. I wanted you to have companionship. I just wanted you to be safe. Your mother kept me safe. Isabel smiled, sad. She was always smarter than both of us. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the brass compass. The one Lauren had taken, the one I'd carried for 50 years. My father gave it to me in 1972. USC graduation. He'd carried it during the war, said it always pointed home. I set it on the table between us. Your mother's note said you'd help me. She was right. These buildings. I gestured toward the window. I built them when I was young. Thought they'd last forever. Thought I'd last forever. I pushed the compass toward her. But buildings need maintainers. They need someone who understands load paths, stress points, how to read blueprints, how to protect what matters. Isabel picked up the compass, turned it over in her hands. The brass caught the light, warm, worn smooth from decades in my pocket. You're giving me this? You already have the buildings. Eventually, the trust names you. But this, I touched the compass. This says you're ready now. Not when I'm gone. Now. She was crying. Silent tears, like her mother. I don't know if I can. You walked every building with me last week. You found the structural flaws in Derek's appraisals in 20 minutes. You documented everything with the precision your mother taught you. You have her mind and my trade. You're ready. What about you? I'll be here, consulting engineer. I smiled. But you're the lead now. You make the decisions. You talk to the tenants. You plan the renovations. Isabel closed her hand around the compass, nodded. Okay. And, Isabel, I looked at the Chinatown building. Move into the Arts District warehouse, the top floor. I'll help you renovate it. We'll do it together, like we should have done years ago. 2 weeks later, I stood in the Arts District warehouse with Isabel. The top floor was empty, raw space. Concrete floors, exposed brick, steel beams I'd specified in 1983, the skylights let in spring sun, warm, clean, the smell of old wood and possibility. Isabel had blueprints spread across a folding table. Her designs. Open floor plan, kitchen where the loading dock used to be, bedroom facing east, studio space with north light. What do you think? She asked. I looked at her drawings. Precise lines, thoughtful details, respect for the original structure. Your mother would be proud. Yeah? She always said architecture was about understanding what was there before you, building on it, not erasing it. I touched the blueprint. This does that. Rosa came up the stairs with paint samples. Isabel, I'm thinking warm gray for the walls. And, oh, Victor, good. I wanted to ask about the electrical. Can we add outlets here without compromising the brick? We'll need to run conduit, but yes. Ken appeared in his doorway, carrying takeout bags. Lunch. Figured you'd both forget to eat. He set the bags on the table. The smell of teriyaki and rice filled the space. Mrs. Chin climbed the stairs slowly, brought a thermos of ginger tea. For Isabel, new home need blessing. Tea first, then work. We sat on the floor, 5 of us, eating Ken's teriyaki, drinking Mrs. Chin's tea. Spring light pouring through the skylights. The sound of construction from the street below. The city alive and building and moving forward. Isabel held up the compass. Mom's note said to remember what you built, Dad, but I think she meant remember why you built it. Why did I? For this. For people. For community. For spaces where people could live and work and thrive. She looked around the warehouse. At Rosa. At Ken. At Mrs. Chen. You didn't build investments. You built homes. Mrs. Chen raised her tea. To Mr. Victor, who build good, who fight good, who stay. We drank. The tea was sweet, ginger and honey and warmth. Through the skylight, I could see the Chinatown building, the little Tokyo property, structures I designed before Isabel was born. Before I understood that buildings weren't about concrete and steel, they were about the lives they held. Elena had known that. She'd protected these buildings not for their value, for their purpose. Isabel stood, walked to the window, looked out at downtown. I'm starting the renovations next week, and, Dad, I want you here, every day, teaching me like you taught me to read blueprints when I was 8. I'll be here. Promise? Promise. Outside, jacaranda trees were blooming. Purple flowers covered the sidewalks, spring in Los Angeles, subtle, soft, the kind of change you only notice if you're paying attention. Lauren's trial was set for June. Derek had already pled guilty, 5 years with possibility of parole in 3. His BMW was seized. His office closed. His shell companies dissolved. Lauren was fighting extradition to Riverside County for Richard Foster's death. Her attorney was arguing accident. The DA was arguing pattern, serial targeting of wealthy widowers, financial predation, possibly homicide. I didn't think about her much. Frank handled the legal details. The divorce was simple. The prenup Elena insisted on left Lauren with nothing. The marriage was 12 years long. It felt like it had happened to someone else. Isabel moved into the warehouse the first week of May. I helped her carry boxes up 4 flights of stairs. My knees complained. My back ached, but I carried them anyway. She made dinner that first night. Elena's recipe. Arroz con pollo. We ate on the fire escape, watched the sunset over downtown. The buildings I'd helped wire. The streets I'd helped plan. The city I'd spent 50 years building. You know what Mom told me once? Isabel said. Before she got sick. She said the difference between architecture and construction is intention. Construction is about function. Architecture is about legacy. She was right. You built legacy, Dad. That's why Derek couldn't take it. Legacy doesn't transfer in a power of attorney. It only passes through love. The compass sat on the fire escape railing between us, brass catching the sunset, pointing home. 3 weeks later, I sat on Isabel's fire escape at dawn with my coffee. The jacarandas were in full bloom now. Purple petals carpeted the sidewalk 4 floors below. The air smelled sweet, warm. The city was waking up. Delivery trucks, distant sirens, the hiss of espresso machines in the cafe across the street. Isabel came out with her own cup. Sat next to me. We didn't talk, just watched the light change on the buildings. The Chinatown building caught the sun first, then Little Tokyo, then the warehouse under our feet. Mom knew I'd come back, Isabel said finally. She knew I'd need you. She knew you'd be foolish. Her word, not mine. I smiled. Loneliness makes you foolish. Makes you see companionship where there's only calculation. You're not lonely now. No. Below, Mrs. Chen opened her shop. The wind chimes rang. Brass on brass, same sound for 49 years. Isabel held up the compass. These buildings are mine someday, but they're ours now. That's how it works. You build, you pass it on, you trust the next generation to care. The sun warmed the concrete. The purple petals shifted in the breeze. Some betrayals teach you who to trust. This one taught me I already knew. The buildings remembered, and they were still standing.